So it would seem. And Command wants to know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Waifu Runs His Mouth. Today we are going to do something a little bit special. If you don't know what this is, basically it is a series where I take some time, practice a speed run, and just yap about things. Basically like in a podcast format, but while I practice a speed run. So today's goal is we're going to be talking at length about 2025. It's the new year. We're going to recap a bunch of stuff that I've accomplished, what my methodology and mindset was for the year, and how that has evolved and changed, and what I'm looking forward to in the next year. My priorities, that kind of thing, as well as like the runs and the challenges and all sorts of fun stuff like that. And we're going to be doing that while I practice Nightfall. Doing some Halo Reach Easy Nightfall. I am trying as well to get a recording of Nightfall that is good enough to use for my segmented run that I'm going to do a speedrun explained video of. I'm working on a speedrun explained video for Halo Reach Easy, and one of the levels I still need a good segment for is Nightfall. So I'm just going to be grinding this in the background and talking at length about some stuff. Normally these are going to be Patreon exclusive. I think I'm going to make this one available to the public on YouTube right off rip, but I think I've done one of these before, and I think that normally they're going to be exclusive to the Patreon only. So if you end up watching this and you end up liking it, you think it's a good time, you'd like to watch more of them, consider subscribing to the Patreon. It'll be at the $5 tier or higher. I don't know how often I'll do them. It seems like almost once a week at this point. But it's not on a guaranteed schedule, so no promises there. And also, I might run out of stuff to talk about. So, we'll see. Anyways, yeah, so while we're grinding this IL, I want to talk about 2025. How was it as a year for me in content and also just as a person, you know, like how did I grow and that kind of thing. And I guess we could start with the beginning of the year. I have my archive channel uploads here so that I could see things in a roughly chronological order. Seems like right at the start of the year we were doing some Halo trilogy, and Halo was a huge part of the year for sure. I know most of you guys probably know me from Resident Evil or Left 4 Dead or Devil May Cry. Those are primarily what I've been focusing my content on for the most part, and that's still true, but I've been really trying to solidify Halo in the mix as well, and I got a lot to talk about that for my plans for the future as well. There's a lot of Halo oriented plans. But yeah, Halo was a massive part of this year. I started with Trilogy, doing some Halo CE, Halo 2, and Halo 3 on easy back to back. It was a really good time. And I'm not particularly good at any of those games. I'm actually quite bad at all of them. But I have been learning them, and I've been getting better at them. Halo 3 is actually the one I've known for the longest. I've known Halo 3 basically since MCC came to PC. I learned Halo 3 easy, and you know, at first I really didn't think it was that fun. I thought it was just kind of like a whatever run, and it's definitely my second to least favorite Halo run I've done. But what keeps me interested in Halo speedrunning isn't even really the runs per se, although, you know, there are lots of Halo runs that are quite fun, but it's the community. The Halo runs community is really, really awesome. There's always events going on. There's always some hype shit, and there's always people running, and it's very competitive, and I love that. It's great. That's like actually the main reason I decided to pick up Halo speedrunning a lot more in this year. Previous to this, I had done a little bit of Halo, a little bit of Halo Reach, a little bit of Halo 3. I learned a little bit of Halo 2. Way back in the day, like 2021, I was really good at Halo Infinite, actually. I had world record and pioneered some new categories, and I ran that at Games Done Quick. So I'm definitely not like completely new to Halo speedrunning, but becoming a bigger part of the community was a huge goal for me this year. I wanted people that watch Halo speedruns to know, like, oh, this waifu guy, like, yeah, he speedruns Halo too, and he's really good. So that was a huge goal for me this year, to break into the Halo speedrunning community, like in the audience perspective, but also like from other runners. I wanted the runners to respect me. I wanted them to accept me as like really part of their ecosystem and stuff. And I actually think that I've been very successful at that, especially in the very latter half of the year here, like right at the end. I think a lot more people respect me and realize like how good I can be, which was a huge goal for me. For a long time, I've speedrun a lot of more niche games, and definitely Halo is less niche than something like Devil May Cry. I'd argue that Resident Evil is probably even less niche, but I don't like Resident Evil speedrunning anymore, and I'm not going to talk about that at length today, because that's probably a big enough topic for its own rant series, so I won't cover that. And that's not something that happened this year, really. That was kind of established from previous years. But yeah, not a huge Resident Evil guy, and I'm really competitive. I love competing, and so when you're playing a game that isn't nearly as competitive, that competition is like lacking, you know? That makes sense. That's crazy, right? When there's less competition, the competition's lacking. I'm an expert wordsmith here, obviously, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like, Devil May Cry is niche, for example, and so I can get world record in a Devil May Cry game and be at the point where I pretty much can't be touched. Like, it would take a really long time for someone else to get to where I was, and I could just kind of sit on my throne and get bored, basically. And so I already ran some Halo games. I thought they were really fun. I like the community. They're super, super active. It is a speedrunning community with a couple of other full-time speedrunning content creators in it, which is really, really cool. And those content creators are not just YouTubers either. They're like also competitive. Like, they are also trying to get world records and stuff. So people like Sloth and Zoo are the two that come to mind, really. They mostly compete in Halo 1, 2, and 3, but you know, I can find my place in that ecosystem as well, even though I prefer some of the later games in the series. But yeah, that was a big goal of mine. Like, just make some headway into that community. Like, make it so that more people know and respect me as a runner and also as an entertainer. Break into the Halo audience a little bit. And so that was like part of the goal at the start of the year. That wasn't a goal that started this year. I actually was starting on that since last year. Just because it's fun. But definitely made huge strides in that this year. I'm really, really happy with that. Especially because in the latter half of the year, like very, very recently, I have been grinding for the world record in Halo Reach Easy, which is the second longest standing world record in all of Halo runs right now. So currently the oldest world record that's still a world record is Halo 5 Easy. And that was set in 2020. And Halo Reach Easy, which is a much more competitive run, more people run Reach than 5, I'm sure you could guess that, was set 1 month after that Halo 5 run. So it's over 4 years old now, and it is a god tier run. That seclusive run is crazy. If you don't know about it, you can check out my main channel video I published kind of recently about New Alexandria. I tell the story of how New Alexandria is brutally random, but also how that impacts the world record. But anyways, seclusive run is absolutely insane and has been a world record for a really long time. And at some point I decided that I wanted to take that down. Kind of that mentality of like, oh, your first day in prison, right? Like, find the biggest, baddest motherfucker and just take him down. That's kind of what I've been doing for that, and it's definitely helped. I got second place very recently, and a lot of people seem to be, as runners, like respecting me more. Like I said, after an event that we'll talk about later, that I wanted to get sub 1 hour, which is really close to world record in Halo Reach, and quite a few people were like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Not to my face, but like I could tell, you know, I'm saying like, oh, I'm gonna get sub 1 hour. And people are just like, oh, yeah. Everyone says stuff like that, you know, like you're not actually going to do it. But I don't think they were familiar with my game. I don't think they really understood that I'm him. So I have since gotten that sub 1 hour, and I've actually had at least one person tell me, I didn't think you could do it, but I'm very impressed. Which kind of rude, but you know, I'm grateful for the honesty, and I'm glad that I could earn a little bit of respect. I'm all here for earning the respect. I don't need it to be given to me unearned, right? But anyways, yeah, the start of the year started off with some Halo Trilogy. I didn't have very good times in Trilogy, but I had a lot of fun with it. Experimenting a bit with multi-game runs. I used to do a speedrun marathon every Friday called a Waifu-thon, where I would run a variety of different games back to back. But that was purely for entertainment. Like, I wasn't trying to get a good time. Like, I wasn't gonna sandbag my run, right? But I wasn't using a proper timer, and I wasn't trying to be competitive with those. It was just for content. But that felt really boring to me after a while. Like, I'm a super goal-oriented person, and it didn't really feel like those marathons were really helping me reach any goals. They definitely helped with making money and stuff, but like, there's more to content creation for me than money. And I felt like I was wasting my time on those marathons when I would have much preferred spending that time working towards a goal. You know what I mean? Like, if I was working towards getting world record in Devil May Cry 3, for example, and I had to do a marathon on Friday, it's like I only get so many days a week, so many hours in a week to get to practice and try to get a better time in that category. And so I don't stream or work pretty much at all on Saturdays or Sundays so that I could spend time with the love of my life, my amazing girlfriend, which I don't regret at all. It's super fun and super important that I make sure that I segregate my work from the rest of my life in ways that allow me to have a life. You know, content creation can really get away from you if you're not careful with how many hours you're spending in it, especially if you're really passionate about it like I am. And so, you know, with that being the case, that means there's only 4 days a week to pursue those goals, and it just didn't feel worth it to me. So more recently, I haven't kicked this in yet, but this is the future plan. I am planning on reformatting those marathons to be themed, and that is heavily inspired by the trilogy runs that I was doing. Running Halo Trilogy made me realize, like, oh, I could do like a longer run that's a multi-game, and I still get the benefit that I get on the archive channel from all the different uploads and stuff. But I'm still working towards a goal. You know what I mean? Like, I was still working towards getting a better trilogy time, and I definitely got better at all 3 of the games by playing them so much. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to format it so that I do those marathons again, but they're going to be themes. So like when I'm playing Devil May Cry, I will do Devil May Cry full franchise or full series on the Fridays. And then the Monday through Thursday will be like whatever I'm grinding. So if I'm doing like DMC 1 world record attempts, it'll be DMC 1 world record attempts for Monday through Thursday. And then on Friday, I do like full series. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in a row. And that still feels like I'm working towards a goal, but it is the better content of getting to see like multiple runs and staying frosty on all those different runs and that kind of thing. And I think that'll be a little bit of the best of both worlds. It'll be more gratifying for me, but also still kind of scratch that itch a little bit. But yeah, that was the beginning of the year. Very beginning of the year, we're doing some trilogy. Going back to the Halo Runs community, part of the reason why the Halo Runs community is so awesome is they're very events oriented. They run a lot of events, and I love speedrunning events. They're so cool. They're part of my favorite things is the community of speedrunning, right? And so like getting to interact with everybody and do tournaments or do relay races or stuff like that, super fun. And because I'm such a big part of the Devil May Cry speedrunning community, I pretty much never get to participate in any of those. I end up organizing all of them, and it's very bad practice to participate in an event that you're organizing. So I don't do that. I just focus on making the event as good as an event as I can make it. But that means I miss out on that. I don't get to experience stuff like participating in the relay or playing a tournament, that kind of thing. And I like that stuff. So with the Halos community, I feel I have much more capacity to engage with stuff like that, and that's really great. I love that about it, especially because a big problem that I have is like being too competitive, right? Like as a full-time content creator, I have unlimited free time basically. It's not actually unlimited, as we discussed. Like I have restrictions and whatnot, but it's still way more time than most people can afford to put into speedrunning as a hobby, which makes it, if you're doing head-to-head competition, really unfair for a lot of people. Like me being in a tournament for Devil May Cry would make it really, really hard for anyone else to compete. And that makes it less fun for other people. So that's another reason why I stay out of those things. Because it's like I want it to be an engaging and enjoyable experience for the community, not just myself. So, but in the Halo Runs community, that's not the case. I suck at Halo, so there is a ton of room to grow, and I can participate in stuff like the relay and HSL and the Grand Prix, and I'm not even gonna get close to winning. And I could go as try hard as I want. I could spend like 70 hours a week, you know, participating and practicing, and I still would have like years of progress to make up before I could really be super competitive with those other people. And on top of that, even if I was super good, like there's other people in the community that have the resources to spend as much time as I am, which makes it feel more fair. God, this Gunta is not giving me... I might have to load up a save here and practice it more specifically because I am not getting what I want out of this. He's supposed to punch me and have me fly to the end of the level, basically. It's not working. But yeah, so that's it. That's why I like being a part of the Halo Runs community. That's why I've been shifting more towards it. I think it's more sustainable from a content perspective too. It's like I really enjoy when I'm being pushed and when I have to push myself. And it's a lot easier when there are other people to push yourself against, you know, someone like Zoo or Sloth or Seclusive or like these other people that have an insane amount of time in these games. Like I can be competitive and that keeps it entertaining for me. I don't want to just get bored, you know? And that's not to say I'm like totally bored of Devil May Cry speedrunning, for example, but you know, it's more interesting. And also gives a lot more potential for collaborations, like co-op runs and that kind of thing. So yeah, I've had fun with that. I ended up actually doing a lot of collaborations this year in the same vein. So that was really cool. We'll talk about those a bit more later, but we could finally come off Trilogy. I think that was like the final thing. I actually see here, there is a run of RE4 that I uploaded right at the beginning of the year, but I think that might've been one that was lodged in my backlog and I had never uploaded. Because I don't think I did any RE4 runs this year, not even in a marathon. Because I kind of stopped doing marathons this year. I got so caught up in all of my like, speedrun goals that I didn't have really time for it. Let's see. Come on, Gupta. Come here. Man, he's just not doing it. Okay, next thing I see is 2-player legendary Halo Reach speedruns. So that was quite fun. For those who don't know, Halo is a very cooperative game. There's up to 4-player co-op in all of the Halo games except for the first 2. And Halo as a game is one that's very much known for its cooperative campaign. And because the Halo Runs community is so active, I was able to do some co-op runs and it was really, really fun. Personally, I much prefer 2-player co-op as opposed to 3 or 4-player co-op because I think that in 3 and 4-player co-op, it kind of just like, there's not enough things for people to do. And so a lot of the time you're just kind of standing around or like doing busy work. And I don't think that's nearly as fun. But 2-player, it feels much more like both players are doing things all the time and that the tasks get delegated out like pretty evenly. So I did some 2-player co-op with Dice. Dice is the homie. I've known him for a long time. He's a long-time Halo Infinite speedrunner. But also way before Infinite, he ran a lot of Reach, so he's very good. Definitely at the time that we started running co-op, he was way better than me at Halo Reach. But so I learned a lot from him, and we did a lot of co-op. We actually ended up grinding all the way to getting the world record in 2-player for Legendary. If you don't know, 2-player is not a super competitive category. Most people that run co-op run 3 or 4-player. But we did manage to get the world record, which was pretty cool. I learned a whole ton, and we had a really good time. I worked a lot on trying to make co-op runs enjoyable from a viewer perspective, which is something that can be really hard to do because there's just a lot going on. And also there's two different perspectives that you could potentially be watching. So I focused on like doing some innovations with my layout on the stream and that sort of thing to make it just, you know, more enjoyable to watch. And I think I did a really good job. I ended up having him Discord stream to me. And then I captured the Discord stream and put it on, ouch, put it on the overall stream. I think I might be understanding what I'm doing wrong, actually. Like right above my own camera. I think that worked fantastic. I was pretty stoked about that. And yeah, it was fun. I really liked co-op. It was honestly a kind of a small stint. We spent like 2 months on it. But in the grand scheme was not like a huge grind. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. The reason we did that, by the way, the reason I decided to do co-op is that every year the Halo Runs community does a relay race, which is basically like a back-to-back race of all of the Halo games. And they do 2 a year. They do 1 on easy and 1 on legendary. And so I submitted to be in the legendary one. The only run I know on legendary is Reach. And I had an okay time. I had like a 127. But the other people in the legendary relay were going to be like Seclusive and Zephrike. And they have much better times. Seclusive is the world record holder. And Zephrike has like 3rd. So there was like a 20-minute gap almost between my time and theirs. And Dice also submitted, but he had a very similar time to me. And so someone said as a joke, like, well, why don't you guys run co-op? Like, if you and Dice run co-op, then you'd be like just about as good as Seclusive is at solo. And like, it started off as a joke, but then we were like, well, wait, what if we actually did that? And so they let us do that, and that's why we did that. We had about a month to, from zero, basically, like learn the co-op run and get the best time we could. Obviously, co-op is faster than solo when played really well. So that gives us a lot of leeway. We don't have to play perfect, and we can still kind of compete with Seclusive. And we did a really good job, actually. Our team ended up winning that relay. Our team ended up winning that relay. That was my 2nd relay win, I believe. So I'm 2-0 right now on relay wins. And it was pretty hype, honestly. I thought it was a good time. We didn't win our race. We actually performed quite poorly. We got a super unlucky New Alexandria and got destroyed because of that. We had to basically do the whole level twice. So we ended up placing last out of the NA runners, or out of the Reach runners, but it was good enough for our team to pick up our slack. It was a good thing we decided to do co-op, because if either of us had run solo, it would have been a total nightmare. Man, this Gunta is just not my friend today. I need to like figure something out. But anyways, yeah, that was a really good time. Got to do a relay race. That was a pretty novel experience for me. It's always really hype to be able to part of those community events instead of just organizing them. Super fun. Let me look on the list some more then. Looks like no, I definitely was doing some marathons at the beginning of the year. So this year I decided to cut those out. I decided it wasn't worth it anymore. Not super fun. And then we did some Devil May Cry 2. I definitely submitted to Games Done Quick. I didn't get in either time, unfortunately. I think my submissions are just kind of not what they're looking for at the time. Oh, we went back to Left 4 Dead 2 for just a brief moment, I believe, and PB'd. And we did some more challenge runs. We did get a PB in Left 4 Dead 2. We got 2 PBs, I think, but only one of them was valid because the demos didn't save for the other one. We did a couple of challenge runs. We made the list and made it a little bit more robust. The list being a huge collection of challenges and speedruns I wanted to do in Devil May Cry 1. Devil May Cry 1 being a game that I feel like is more completable than the other Devil May Cry games. it's simple enough to be masterable is my thought process. And so I had this idea that I wanted to be the best Devil May Cry player in the world. And so I thought the best way to do that would be to create a list of everything that I could possibly do in that game and then do all of them. And I still have the list, and I worked quite a bit through it, but there were some pretty robust and hefty challenges on that list that made it so I can't just complete it overnight. I mean, the idea is that if I complete everything on that list, that there would be so many things that people would have to do to dethrone me that there's no way anyone would ever do it, and I would be the best Devil May Cry 1 player forever. I know, my ego knows no bounds, but like, it sounded fun to me, and I like the idea of having a legacy, you know? So I decided to do that, and that had some no-hit runs on it. It's got some one-off challenge runs, getting world record in every speedrun category, creating a couple of speedrun categories, some mods that I wanted to make and then play. So yeah, I made that and I started working through them. I ended up becoming the first person in the world to complete Devil May Cry 1 without taking any hits or any damage on the normal difficulty. That was really, really cool. I think that might be the first time I've ever actually done a legit world's first. There was one other guy who had like reported to have done it before, but his run, I think he just wasn't super familiar with the game, and he did actually get hit in a couple of different spots, but just didn't realize. So my run was much more precise, and also, you know, I did it on stream and have the hit counter and everything. And yeah, so I did that, and then I decided I wanted to do it again without using any items. So then I did the no hit without items, and then I decided I want to try and complete the game no hit while getting all of the special bonuses, which also had never been done before. And eventually I did complete that as well. But man, that was like, I'm glossing over it, like, yeah, I made all these accomplishments, but those are some pretty fucking massive grinds, actually. Like, some of the hardest things I've done in quite a while were those no-hit runs. Because, man, no-hit runs are a completely different beast to speedruns. I think that speedrunning at a high level requires a lot more skill because it's competitive. You know, you're competing against other people, and there's an endless game to it. Like, you could always get faster. When you beat the game without getting hit, like, that's kind of where it ends, right? Like, that's the point. You've done it. Congrats. It doesn't really get any harder than that, but speedrunning always gets harder. Every time anyone gets a new record, the speedrun becomes more difficult to compete in. But man, speedrunning does not test your patience in the same way that no-hit runs do. Like, no-hit runs actually were driving me insane for a bit, man. Like, the amount of patience you need, because it's all about playing safe. And dude, I am just not about that. Like, I don't want to play safe. Playing safe is boring, and there's a lot of luck involved with getting a no-hit run in a game like Devil May Cry 1. Like, sure, you can come up with strategies to try to minimize the risk in as many rooms as possible, but like, the more you minimize the risk, usually the slower things get. And so, like, if you don't want to be bored, you kind of have to take some risk. And also, even though you're minimizing the risk as much as possible, that doesn't mean there's no risk. Like, sometimes just unlucky things happen and your run dies. But I had to develop a completely new mindset for that. I had to basically start over with how I approach that sort of challenge. And it was a really, like, I grew a lot from that experience, which I'm really happy for. That's always my goal with those sort of challenges or speed running in general. I just like to grow as a person. I like the self-improvement aspect of it. That's why I do it, you know? But man, like, I really had to grow to do those hit and miss runs. Mostly just because of the mental. It like wasn't that hard to do in execution. It only took me like 42 attempts or something, I think, to do the first no-hit run. But that was after I had realigned my mindset, after doing like 100 plus attempts in a previous iteration. Like, that was not the first time I had tried to beat the game no hit. In the past, I had tried to do it no hit, no items. And I got really close. I beat it with one hit taken like 3 different times, and I just was losing my mind. I got so impatient. I'm like, dude, I basically already have done it. Like, this is driving me crazy. I'm gonna boot up a checkpoint manager and practice this part more specifically because I am not getting it. But yeah, I mean, like I'd done it before, basically, right? Like I'd done it like multiple times, but I just could not get what I wanted out of it. I couldn't get the clean run. So I had to come at it with like a completely different perspective. I had to be much more patient, just be like, look, this is not a skill-based challenge. Like there is skill required, but the skill that's required to do this isn't that high. And the better I am is not going to make me succeed at this faster. Like I just have to grind. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing I could do. It's not a skill issue, right? If I don't get the run, it's probably not my fault. There's things I could learn, right? Like I could learn, I can make, sometimes I make mistakes and I can learn to remedy those mistakes and play around those mistakes and stuff. But like ultimately, the challenge itself, not super skill based. So like I just needed to accept that and enjoy it for what it was and just take my time and be like, look, this is going to take a while. And that doesn't mean that I am bad. Like it is okay for it to take a while. Right. And that took me quite a bit. I had some mental breakdowns over it and stuff. It was hard. But I was eventually able to develop that mentality. And once I had, man, Bob is your uncle. As soon as I did that, I got the one with items, and then I like immediately got the one without items in like 50 attempts or something. And then all special bonuses was hard and took a lot longer. It's a much longer run. It requires you to get the best rank on every single mission as well as not getting hit. Which requires you to get more orbs. And getting more orbs requires you to interact with more enemies, which makes it more likely that you get hit, right? Like, so that makes it much more difficult. But I was able to do that as well, and it took less time than getting the first no-hit run. And that was all just a mindset shift. And that mindset shift was like super, super helpful just for me as a person, honestly. Like, super good way to approach things. I know that I'm really competent, and every goal I set my mind to is just a matter of time. You know, it's just gonna take a while. That's it. That doesn't mean that's reflective of me or my skill level even. It's just that sometimes things take a while because not everything is 100% up to you, right? Like it's not every run is determined by your skill. Sometimes luck's involved. Sometimes there's other factors, right? Sometimes it's just not your day. And that doesn't mean that you're not good. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. It just means that there is, other factors involved, which is normal. Everything has other factors involved. There's no perfectly skill-based endeavors. I'm gonna try to sprint even later. Maybe this whole time I've actually been sprinting early. But yeah, that was a huge chapter of this year, was this no-hit runs. And actually, I'm thinking that I want to do even more of them. I want to do no-hit runs of like all of the Devil May Cry games. I have one more no-hit run that I need to do for Devil May Cry 1. 100% all special bonuses. So the run I already did, but also collecting everything. And then that'll be the last no-hit run for Devil May Cry 1 on normal. I also want to do them on Dante Must Die, but that is going to be like a much more massive project that's going to require me to relearn a lot of the game and stuff. So I'm trying to focus on this list, right? Okay, so the list. It has the list of all these challenges I want to do with these speedruns and whatnot. I'm trying to approach the list in a smart way. I'm trying to approach it in a way where it's like, okay, this is a normal difficulty thing. Let me knock out all of the normal difficulty things. And then I can go and knock out all of the Dante Must Die difficulty things. And to me, I think that'll help a lot because a lot of those things are very similar to each other. And if I could maintain a certain level of muscle memory across them, then it'll be easier to accomplish them sequentially. So like, for example, one of those things on the list is I want to beat the game blindfolded. Like start to finish, single segment, blindfolded. And so if I'm playing on Dante Must Die and then switching back to normal and then playing on hard and then playing on easy and then switching back to Dante Must Die, remembering what every room encounter is like while blindfolded is going to be much harder. So it's like, I want to beat the game on blindfolded on normal first. So like, you know, if I've played about 150,000 hours of normal recently, then that'll make it a lot easier for me to internalize what it looks like while I'm blindfolded, for an example. I mean, I think it'll help with every challenge that I'm doing and every speedrun as well, but blindfold is probably the one that it is most obvious that that would be helpful. But yeah, I made a pretty decent amount of headway through that challenge list. I always kept adding more because real life feature creep, you know, just there's never enough. I always come up with new ideas for things I could do. But that leads us to one thing that's on that list is mods. There's some mods I've wanted to play. I don't normally do a whole ton of modded content, but it's really nice every now and again to take a break from challenges and whatnot and to play something a little bit more goofy, something that still takes some effort, but you know, isn't so serious. And mods are the best way to do that. You know, just changing things about the game and allowing it to be a completely unique experience that I just go through like once or twice and get to have fun with. Now the problem is Devil May Cry does not have a very robust modding scene, and so if I want those mods to exist, I pretty much just have to make them myself. And so having understood that, I actually have spent quite a decent amount of time this year learning to program. And not just because of like making mods, but also like automating some stuff in my workflow, making things a little bit easier for me on the back end. I have learned a lot of programming. I spent a lot of time learning Python and a little bit of time on some C# this year. And I gotta tell you, really useful skills to have. It's been immensely helpful. Cheat engine reverse engineering, Python, a little bit of Lua scripting, and C#. And maybe I'm wearing too many hats. You know, maybe I'm doing too much, but I'm grateful to be learning and doing new things. So I'm here for it. I ended up making some mods. I made a mod that you play DMC1 and every time you open a door, the game gets faster. And every time you take damage, the game slows down. And I did a really fun playthrough of that. That was a great time. I made the mod from scratch all by myself. And it was really fun. And that gave me a big foundation to make some more mods in the future. And I did make those mods available. They are available on my Patreon for free. You don't even need to be a supporter. But yeah, that was really fun. And that's kind of like a whole new realm of content creation that I've delved into this year, is making mods and playing them. So yeah, that's been fun. Definitely would look forward to more of that. I'm definitely going to do that. Later in the year, I ended up trying to make a free camera mod for DMC1. I find that I come across problems every now and again, and the best way to solve them is just to solve them myself. So like, I wanted to make some more video essays about Devil May Cry, and I really wanted extra camera angles, and the only way I could do that is if there's a free camera mod, and no one had made one. So I decided to make one myself. I did, and it works okay, but someone else actually had already made one, but it was private. So when I posted my mod, they reached out to me and were like, "Hey, actually, I already made this," and they shared it with me. I can't make it public to other people currently, but they said they were going to make it public sometime in 2026. So if that sounds cool to you, maybe look out for that. But I learned a whole ton in the process. And so hopefully if I need to make a free camera mod for any other games, I'll be able to do that myself. There we go. I think I'm not moving far enough to the right at the start to bait him correctly. I really want to do just levels of this, but like if I can't hit this trick, then there's no point in doing runs, because yeah, and I want to end up over there. But yeah, so was quite fun. I did end up making a couple of mods across the year, made those all available, of course. And I learned a whole ton about modding, about myself, you know, about using AI to help you learn things as well. I used a lot of AI to help me learn how to code and stuff. I coded everything myself, but when it came to the learning process, AI was very useful for that. That was cool. And then, yeah, so that ended up getting us our first couple of no-hit runs. That was pretty hype. And then events. Oh yes, events. Okay, so inspired by the Halo speedrunning community, and all of their massive events and how active those events keep the games, I decided that it would be really cool if I could run some events myself in Devil May Cry. I already do run events, like even before this, but they gave me a couple ideas for like unique formats that I had not explored myself. So insert the Demon Pre, which I basically just wholesale stole from WaifuRuns. They have an event called the Grand Prix. Demon Pre is basically the same event, but for Devil May Cry. Okay, I think this is good enough. Let's turn the checkpoints back on and close this program. Do some more attempts at the level. So basically the event was, there would be a 10-week event, and every week there would be a new individual level run that you would do in one of the first 3 Devil May Cry games. And so the thought process was, speedrunning has a really high barrier to entry, right? People are intimidated by speedrunning, and especially a community like Devil May Cry needs more speedrunners. Like, there's really not that many of us, and the activity was a problem, right? And so I wanted to try to make an event that encouraged new people to play, to try to speedrun the Devil May Cry games, and also encouraged older runners to stay active, to give them a reason to keep playing, right? Like, sure, speedrunning is a self-propelling hobby, but it's always nice when there's more activity. More activity breeds more activity, after all, right? So the perfect way to do that was to do basically a weeklies, right? That's what it is, essentially. It's like every week there's a new level that everyone speedruns, and you have to get your time in that week, and then everyone's times are compared to each other, and you get more points depending on how fast your time was, right? And so there'd be a leaderboard across all 10 weeks. And so whoever had the best time across all 10 weeks would win. And I threw up a really tiny prize pool. It was like $100, right? And the prize pool was not really the point. It was more so just to get people interested. And so when I do this in the future, I won't have a prize pool because there's really not a need, I think. I think it's people know what it is and know that it'll be fun. And that's great because the idea behind the event was remove the barriers to entry to speedrunning as much as possible, right? And so speedrunning can be really intimidating because it's a big project, right? Like, games are big, and so the idea of completing one in one sitting for a lot of people is really intimidating. And also, if you are ostensibly competing with everyone who's in the events, there being people who run full game in those games for years and years makes it really like unlikely that you would ever be competitive, right? Like, if you have to run against C. Mateus in Devil May Cry 3 and he has 20 years of experience in the game and you have just started learning today, like, there's no chance that you would do good at all. So we combat that by making it so you just speedrun one level, and you do that one level every week. And a level is a very digestible amount of time. Like, the longest levels in Devil May Cry speedrunning are like 8 minutes, and that's like really long. Most of them average like 1.5 to 2 minutes. That's digestible. Like, you, as someone who's never speedrun before, could definitely pick up a 1 minute level in a week, you know? And so that's the format. Like, you have a whole week to get the best time you can on that level. And I made sure to provide tutorials for those levels for every week. So if you had no idea what you were doing, I had like a setup. There's a save file you can download. You don't have to like play to that point in the game. You can just jump in and have the best possible experience. And it was a huge success. Way bigger than I could have thought. We had like over 100 people submit on the first week, with the vast majority of those being people that either had never run a game before or had never run Devil May Cry before. It was really, really cool. The event turned out fantastic. There was lots of participation the entire time. Of course, it falls off a little bit over the 10 weeks. We definitely learned a bit from the organization as well. 10 weeks is too long. When I do this event again in 2026, I'm going to make it 6 weeks. So last time it was like 3 levels per game, and then 1 game got an extra level. This time it's going to be 6 weeks, I think, and we'll do 1 or 2 levels per game. Keep it nice and short. People had a hard time staying interested for that long. But yeah, man, it was a huge success. And we saw people like Chris and Born Villain jump into running full game afterwards because of that, which is super cool. Curse actually now dethroned me and has world record in DMC1. I'll have to get that guy back for that. But yeah, super huge. He hadn't run any full game before then. I'd just done some ILs. That crazy bastard actually ended up winning all 10 weeks. So that was cool. And a ton of activity came out of that. Like, the DMC spearheading community is so much more active after that than it has been before. It's very, very cool. And so, in light of these outcomes, I've decided... Oh, that's right. Sorry, I'm jumping the shark a little bit. I'm jumping a little bit ahead. So, the Demon Prix was to lead into the next event, which was the Trilogy Relay. And so that was a relay race of the first 3 Devil May Cry games. And just like the Halo community does, except for they usually do the full franchise, right? Like all 7 of the Halo games. Here we just did the first 3. And the speedrunning community is pretty small for Devil May Cry, so I was a little worried that we wouldn't be able to get that many teams, but we actually managed to get 4 full teams for 1, 2, and 3, and they were full of people who were all really good at the games, and the relay race ended up being really close, and it was an awesome event. It was super fun. I had a huge blast organizing it and watching it, and because of those 2 events back to back, the DMC speedrunning community has been pretty fucking active, which is super cool to see. So now, with the knowledge from that we have gained... Oh! Okay, actually, hold on. I need to shut up and lock in real fast, because this run is super good. But yeah, the knowledge that we've gained from those events being really good... No! I got a bad slide. It's okay. This is still super good. I'll actually take this, even with the bad slide, even if it's sub 3, I think. Because I only lost like 1 or 2 seconds from that. Oh, I forgot. I skipped the grenades. No, I forgot. I literally was talking about this today. If you do that big boost like that, you skip the grenades. And so you have to do a different strat right here. And I forgot. Rip. Oh, well. That's... Oh, man. Are you kidding me? That sucks. All good. That's a good sign, though. We hit it. Okay, back to the events. So, yeah. Activity, super, super important. Keeping those events going so that people... know that they're coming up, know to practice for them, know that if they... The relay in particular is really good because you take the best runners for the amount of teams that you take, right? So like, if there's 4 teams, that means you can only take 4 DMC1 runners. Which means if the only game that you know is DMC1, and you want to be in the relay, you gotta be one of the top 4 DMC runners that submits to the relay, right? So that leads people to pick up new games just so they could be in the relay. Like Murasama, for example, a brand new speedrunner from the Demon Prix, decided to learn full game for DMC2 just because he wanted to be in the relay, and he knew that DMC2 would be the easiest to be competitive in. It doesn't have as many runners. So that leads more people to running more DMC games and also makes it more competitive. So even if you actually don't end up doing the relay, like just the relay being around the corner makes people play, which is super, super cool. So we've decided that I want to do 4 events a year. I want to do a Demon Prix of Trilogy around the March or April of every year, just like we did last year, into a Trilogy Relay, just like we did last year. But then in the second half of the year, I want to do a Demon Prix 2 that does DMC 4, 5, and Reboot, and then do a full franchise relay. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Reboot. In the past, we've tried to do full franchise relays, and we were only able to successfully get 1 of them. We didn't have enough players for all of the games in other years, which is why we had a hard time getting the relay going. Oh, Pog. Oh my god, he cooked. Alright, lock in. This is it. Oh, and we hit a good slide. But yeah. So that's the plan. 2 Demon Prix and 2 relays a year. And I have specifically, remember I don't have a grenade. I have specifically organized the timeline for those to be the opposite of when the Halo relays are. Because I love participating in the Halo relays and I don't want to not be able to just because I'm organizing the DMC ones. So my plan is to primarily be jumping back and forth between Devil May Cry and Halo throughout the year of 2026. And so just before the DMC relay, I'll be playing a lot of DMC. And then just before the Halo relay, I'll be playing a lot of Halo, and back and forth. Once for Legendary, once for Easy, and then once for full franchise, and once for Trilogy. I'm really excited for that. That's gonna be super hype. It's a lot of events for 1 year. I know that, but I think I've automated the process enough that it's definitely doable. Like I'll be able to handle that. Okay, here we go. Forklift skip. I need to hit this first try.
Command is planning something big. They say that Pylon died at dawn.
Oh yes, let's go.
Copy. Uploading security codes to you now.
Okay. As long as I don't have any crazy movement mistakes at the end here, this should be the run I was looking for. My segmented run. So yeah, that'll be a lot. It'll be a lot of work. I still gotta iron out some details for what we're gonna do about the Demon Pre 2 with 4.5 and Reboot. I have some difficulties with that because I'm not good at 4.5 or Reboot. And so before I was making all the tutorials for everything myself. But I won't have the capacity to do that. I'll have to ask people for help. Oh, 301. Really good run. Really, really good. Oh, 3 flats. Let's go. It rolled back. That's huge. Okay, I need to make sure that I go save the demo for that. Because that is what I need for segmented. That was really sick. That's 5 seconds faster than my previous PB. Huge. So anyways, yeah, that'll be a lot of events, but I am looking forward to it. I think it'll be really fun. I think it'll be something that will keep me engaged because, like, I really care about the Devil May Cry speedrunning community. I want it to grow. I want it to be prosperous. And so overseeing those events keeps me really invested in that community. And then my competitive spirit can be fueled a lot through the Halo community. Right? That's my idea. And of course I want to be competitive in Devil May Cry as well, but you know, we'll do both. Fuck it. Like, why not? Right? Okay, let me see. Users, me, app data, local low, CC, temporary, Halo Reach. No, user content, Halo Reach. Movie? It's in here, I think. Sorry, just 1 second. I'm not gonna bother to edit these because it's just like not worth the effort. But yeah, so that's that. That's what I learned from that, and I'm really excited to pursue that more. And to get more into event organization like that, because man, it's so exhilarating to see something that you worked hard on come together like that when it's an event, when other people are participating. Because like, yeah, sure, I can get a time in a game, right, and that's all on me. But like orchestrating something so that other people can enjoy it is like a totally new feeling, you know. It's even better than getting a world record or something. That might sound obvious to a lot of people, but, you know, not me, I guess, because I'm selfish. So all I have left is NA, package, and POA to get segments for. So I think I'm going to start working on POA. Okay, so back to the year. This year, yeah, so we did Demon Pre. I got my no-hit runs. I expanded a little bit of what I wanted to do with those things, and I decided to take up a bit more of a administrative take on things when it comes to events, right? And I really enjoyed that. And then the next thing that we should be talking about here, I suppose the next thing in the year is the highlight channel. So if you don't know, the framework of my content creation is that I have a Twitch channel that I stream on, and then I have 3 YouTube channels, and I have the Patreon. Those are like my main workflows / income in, right? And so on the Twitch stream, I do all of my streaming. I do my speed runs, that kind of stuff, my challenge runs, anything I'm doing there. The archive channel is one of the YouTube channels, and that I upload recordings of my speed runs and stuff, like the VODs of every run I ever finish, I upload there. And also like VODs of the challenges that I do, I upload there. And then I have the main channel, which is my primary source of income actually. And that's like the big long video essays. But the third channel that not a lot of people know about actually is the WaifuRuns TV channel. Which, I mean, it is a big channel. It has like 50,000 subscribers, but what that uploads is it uploads like highlight style content. Like stuff that is video essay-esque, you know, but is more so like for pure entertainment, just like for being fun to watch and like telling stories about stuff that I do on my stream. Like if I do a challenge run on my stream, I want to upload the whole challenge run to the archive channel, but the highlight channel would be about like writing a script and telling the story of that challenge in an entertaining way. If you think something like Sandwiches content or Dante Ravioli, that kind of content, right? I have had a really hard time with that channel this year. It has been absolutely brutal. And this is something that has actually carried over from last year as well. Basically the last 2 years, that channel's been pretty much completely dead. And the reason for that is that I just don't know how to make that kind of content. Like, it was working really well when I was making the videos for Resident Evil, but as soon as I switched to making that style of content about any other type of content, it just didn't work. And so like, I had a really hard time with that because I don't edit those videos. The videos on that channel, I actually paid an editor to edit. And so with those videos not doing well, I was spending a lot of time on them and I was paying for them and I was actually losing money on the videos. So I got into a tough financial spot about 2 years ago and couldn't afford to pay the editor at a loss. And ever since then, I really have not been able to upload on that channel. I've occasionally like taken a crack at editing some videos myself in that style, trying new styles, trying everything. I've tried so many things to get that channel up and going again, and I just cannot do it. It's like, I don't know what it is. I have some ideas now. I've thought a lot about it. I've talked with people about it. I have some strategies that I'd like to try to employ for it now. But man, it just tanked everything, and I had no way of doing that. And a big reason for that, I think, is that I saw that channel as a way to make content about stuff that I was organizing as events, like the relays and stuff. And I still do think that that is probably the best channel to do that on, but just the way that I was approaching it was not working, and I need to reinvent the wheel a little bit. And by reinvent the wheel, ironically, I think actually I need to return to basics. So the video style and format that I was using when I was making Resident Evil content on that channel worked really well. But then I switched the games I was doing it on, but kept the style, and the videos did not do well at all. But I think I actually learned the wrong lesson there. I think the lesson was just that, like, when you switch games, you're gonna have a switch in audience, and that's gonna hurt the videos. And not that I needed to just make the videos better. Because I think I literally was just overcooking and burning the videos, if that makes sense. Like, I was trying to do too much with the editing, trying to do too much with the writing, trying to be too funny, trying to do too much. And like, it feels desperate. Like I'm trying too hard, you know? And I had a formula that already worked, but I abandoned it as soon as I stopped seeing results. And I think that that was a really bad move. I think that that was something that I have to learn from. And I need to return back to doing something that I know works and just have faith that, like, even though maybe the video's not doing super well right now, maybe it never does, but like, I make good content and like it will find an audience eventually, and I can make it in a way that people will want to watch and will have fun with it. I've done it before, I could do it again, and I don't think I need to reinvent the wheel to do that. So that's something that I'm going to be working on a lot going into 2026. is just working on getting back to the highlight channel and actually uploading videos there and doing it in the style that I was doing before when the videos worked. And the whole thought process behind the highlight channel was, I'm doing all this content on stream, but the content on stream isn't really making me that much money because streaming is kind of just like a money hole, right? Like, I don't make that much money from streaming, definitely not enough to justify the amount of time I spend on it, but it's what I love about my job, right? It's like, that is the thing that that's why I do all of my content, because I like speedrunning. I like streaming. I like doing challenge runs, you know? And so if like, that's not what I'm doing, then why bother doing it, right? That's my thought process. So I thought, okay, well, we have the archive channel and that's min-maxing all of the videos, right? That's all the speedruns. Those are making me money now. That probably almost doubles the income I make every month from streaming, is just having the archive channel. But what about like all the challenges and stuff I do? What about these narrative arcs that just like spontaneously emerge through the stream that I'm doing? Like this grind for Halo Reach Easy World Record that I'm doing right now. Like, that's a cool story. And I'd love to tell that story, and I can reuse a lot of the efforts that I put into getting that as new content, right? And so like, I think that works. That's true. And that helps to financially justify the streaming. That's part of the idea, is that helps to financially justify the streaming. And it was for a while. I was making a ton of money on that channel. It was really successful. But yeah, as soon as I walked away from Resident Evil, that success kind of went with it. And that's not entirely true. I had other videos that were quite successful, but my Left 4 Dead content on that channel is really successful as well. But you know, I'm a brat. I want to do what I want to do. So it's like, I want to run Halo now. And so I'm going to make videos about Halo stuff. And then I saw that not succeeding immediately and being like, okay, well, this is a me problem. I need to just get better at making the videos. And you know what? Like, sure, that's a productive mindset, but I think I overcooked it. And that combined with the fact that I was in a really bad financial situation about 2 years ago, meant that I couldn't pay my editor, so I had to edit the videos myself, and that just led to like a whole lot of overcooking, to the point where like I just had no idea what I was doing. And some of those videos would have been really good if I had just done them the way that I knew how to do them, but instead they're like 2 hours long and are way under edited in some spots and way over edited in other spots, and it's just like a total mess, right? So no, this was so good. So just like, yeah, that's something I learned, and I'm gonna learn from that, and I'm gonna improve on that, and it's gonna be something that's gonna be a strong suit of mine, I think. Especially because I have gotten back into producing main channel videos. Last year, I was pretty bad at that. I only produced like 4, I think. They take about 1.5 months to 2 months to make, so it's not the worst rates on the planet. But I've been trying this year to get them out like once every month. And I actually have been pretty good at that. As we speak, I am working on another one. And I have multiple in the pipeline at a time now, which is helping. But we need to... I talked a little bit about strategizing this with some people, and it seems like the best way to go about it is that I need to operationalize it, so that I'm not experimenting on both channels at the same time. Like, if I'm experimenting on the main channel, then I need to not be experimenting on the highlight channel, and vice versa. That way, something is always working and giving me a constant stream of revenue. And so I've been pursuing that, and we'll see how that works into this year. But I'm really proud of the main channel videos I've made. I had a event happen last year that really shook my confidence, that maybe I'll make a video, a rant about at some point. It really shook my confidence in my main channel videos, and so I didn't make them for like 6 months. But since then, thanks to the love and support of my girlfriend and all of you guys, I got a lot of that confidence back, and I've started getting back into making those main channel videos. And I've been really hyped about them, honestly. They've been great. And that is where the majority of my revenue comes from, so that also helps a ton. You know, when you were making money, it's a lot easier to be confident in yourself, right? when you're not being a burden and shit. Where did the hammer go? I think it's gone. Oh well. Yeah. So that's that. And then let's see what's next. Next up in the year, Doom the Dark Ages came out. That's right. Doom the Dark Ages was a pretty big arc. I played it for almost exactly a month before I dropped it and move on. I actually still have world record in Doom the Dark Ages on any % restricted, which is quite the cool category. Long ass game though, not gonna lie. Long ass game. That run is like almost 2 hours. It was quite fun. Had a lot of cool experiences. I love running a game as it's brand new. That rush of there just being new tech every day and always there being people doing runs and stuff is super fun. That's, for those who don't know, maybe you haven't been around for that, but that's my favorite experience in speedrunning. Is when a game is brand new and you have all these experienced runners tearing it apart, and everyone's sharing strats and tech and shit in the Discord. Really, really cool. I had a blast with that. Unfortunately, audience didn't really transfer over super well, so it wasn't a super successful time, but I had a lot of fun, and that's what matters to me. I submitted it to Games Done Quick. I was really hoping it'd get in, but something happened that I've never seen happen before with GDQ, and I don't want to start drama, but they had any % unrestricted in, which kind of makes sense, right? But the any % unrestricted run that got in was not submitted through usual means. Like normally GDQ, you submit your run and everyone has a certain time limit to submit. And the staff like makes the games list themselves and invites people by hand to do their runs, right? But Doom the Dark Ages came out after the submission period was over. And they have a second submission period for games that come out like really close to the submission period. And it came out after the second submission period was over. So by all intents and purposes, Doom the Dark Ages should not have been in that GDQ event because it shouldn't have been possible. But I suppose they hand picked somebody without them even submitting to run that at the event. And I'm a little peeved it wasn't me. Maybe that's petty, but like there's a public submission process for a reason, you know? And the fact that like, I don't know, I could have done a really good showcase of restricted at the time, but there was no way for me to show them that I could because that was after the submission process. So I'm a little miffed about that. It's not a huge deal, like whatever. I'm happy for the person that got to do the run, and I'm not like gonna make enemies over it or something. But that definitely gave me a weird side eye towards GDQ there, because they actually are notoriously really good about that, to the point where like that's the first instance of that ever happening I've ever heard of in the entire history of the event. So like, you know, give them a pass for that, I suppose, but it affects me personally. Boo-hoo. I'm not gonna start a fit over it, but like, you know what I mean? That was an interesting phenomenon that I saw occur there. A little bit miffed about it, but whatever. I had a good time. I got some world records. I started experimenting with something in my content as well around this time. I started really going in on YouTube shorts. This year I experimented a lot with YouTube shorts and TikToks. I had the goal to get enough followers on TikTok to be able to live stream there. Wow, this is all this year. I did so much this year. This is hype. This is gonna be a long ass rant. I hope you guys are enjoying. If you are, please let me know. I really appreciate you watching this or listening to it or whatever you're doing. And if you enjoy it, remember episodes like this will be uploaded fairly frequently to the Patreon. Patreon is easily the best way to support me financially. They take the smallest cut of anywhere, of any platform. So if you want to give me money in one way or another, through Patreon is easily the best way. Why is this ghost all the way over there? But yeah, so you'll see more of these episodes up on the Patreon. I already have one pre-recorded that's uploaded there as well. This one will go actually public. Anyway, yeah, TikTok. So Doom the Dark Ages gave me a huge boost on TikTok because the game is brand new. And I decided I'd make a bunch of shorts content, right? Showing off speedrun stuff, all this cool shit happening in the game, strategies, that kind of thing. And holy shit, dude. TikTok is not friendly, man. Like, TikTok is like normie social media. You know, it's like posting on Facebook, dude. You like crazy motherfuckers on TikTok. Also, holy shit, what a slide. You get some crazy motherfuckers on TikTok, actually. Like, the amount of people just having the most insane anti-speedrunning rhetoric on that platform is wild, bro. They did not let people alone. It actually had a pretty big... So, okay. Let me overview this a little bit more. When Doom the Dark Ages came out, I made a bunch of TikToks showing off speedrun tech and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, man, this is so cool. Here's how you do this stuff. Isn't this neat? And those videos blew up, dude. Like, some of them have millions of views, right? And like tens of thousands of likes, which is great because I grew my TikTok a lot. I get a ton of followers. But man, the backlash on some of those videos is crazy. And people just like shit talking and being like, oh, you don't know how to play the game. I hate how speedrunners ruin gaming, blah, blah, blah. This is cheating. So I made a couple of response videos because that's kind of TikTok culture, right? Like, you see a comment and you can like reply to the comment as a video, and that'll be posted on your account as well. So I did that, and I explained how, like, in a really calm way, non-confrontational, like, look, it's not cheating because it's a competitive format where you're doing different things and it's not competing with normal players, and the developers actually like this stuff. They like will react to it and say that it's cool and whatnot, and speedrunning has a lot to offer people and blah blah blah, you know, all that the fun stuff, you know, the PR moves, the stuff that's true but like maybe people don't know. And dude, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments just being like, no, you're shit, you're cheating, what a pussy, this guy looks like a girl, like just non-stop vitriol, actually, like crazy, to the point where it like seriously affected my mental health. And I have not uploaded on TikTok since. Primarily, okay, so it's not just because of the negative backlash that I stopped uploading on TikTok, but like also because of those posts, I gained enough followers so that I can live stream on TikTok. You need 10,000 followers on TikTok to live stream. I don't know if you knew that, but that's a fucking absurd amount of followers as a requirement for live streaming, if you ask me. But yeah, I hit that because of those posts, and so I was able to actually continue and live stream there. And that was the whole goal in the first place, is to start live streaming there, so I stopped going so hard on the posting. But yeah, man, it was brutal. And that brings us to TikTok live streaming. As you can imagine, if the videos are brutal and have completely unhinged people in them, why would the live streams be any better? And they're not. In fact, I'd probably argue that they're worse. It's something that I've had to overcome the mental barrier of a lot, because I actually have continued to stream on TikTok. I still stream on TikTok every single day. And I've had to reframe how I think about live streams a lot because of that. I've live streamed for like 6 years. But man, TikTok live stream is a completely different beast. Because on a normal live stream on YouTube or Twitch, it's like a directory. There's like a big ass thumbnail and title. You know what you're getting into. You're like, this is a speed run, right? On TikTok live streams, you literally just scroll into the live stream. Like, you have no idea what's happening. There's a title, but like no one sees it. And so that means that like thousands of people a day are just stumbling into a speedrun live stream and have no idea what's going on. Like, there's a timer on screen, right? But there's like a small gameplay feed in my camera. I dropped the wrong thing. I was supposed to drop the laser. There's a timer on screen, a small camera, and the gameplay is like squished in there. And I'm doing some crazy shit like getting two elites to hijack me so I can fly across the map upside down and blah, blah. And so I am non-stop inundated with questions. Like, people come in and be like, what the hell is this? Like literally they'll say that, what the hell is this? Like, what are you doing? Or be like, I have no idea what's going on. Or say stuff like, I have no idea how you find this fun. And under normal contexts, that like on a normal live stream like Twitch or YouTube, that would be really rude, right? Like to come in and be like, I don't understand how you enjoy this, right? Like that's rude. It's like, dude, I don't know, just enjoy it. Like fuck off. You know what I mean? Why would you say that? But it makes a lot more sense in the context of a TikTok live stream, because like normally it's like, oh, you seek out the content that you want to watch, right? But on a TikTok live stream, that's not even true, right? Like you're just scrolling around and then boom, there's my live stream doing Halo Reach speedruns in your face. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not curated at all. And so that leaves me to interact with a lot more people that are really not in the wheelhouse of the content that I'm producing. And that has had me take a huge shift in perspective on the way that I approach my live streams. And that's actually a big influence for me not live streaming my practice anymore, because I had huge problems with live streaming practice when I was streaming on TikTok at the same time. Because it's one thing to be like, oh, this is a speed run and he's going to beat the game. But it's another thing to be practicing like the same 5-second sequence over and over again. Bro, you thought it was confusing to walk in on someone speed running? How confusing is it to just randomly walk in on someone like just doing a jump over and over again? Like you don't know what the goal is. You don't know what success looks like. And there's thousands of people a day getting filtered in. So like, I simply don't have the capacity to explain what's happening to everybody, especially because most people are like, what's happening? And then they scroll past, right? So what would happen is if I'm practicing or if I'm doing an individual level run or I'm doing something small or I'm resetting a lot, then I just get nonstop questions and I get super frustrated. So that's why, part of the reason why I decided going into 2026, I'm not going to practice on stream anymore. And I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to do this podcast style format while I practice and just talk to you guys, talk to my Patreon supporters, talk to the fans that are going to watch me practice and that kind of thing. And get some more productive practice on, you know? But yeah, TikTok live streaming. So since then, I have been TikTok live streaming every single day to some very wildly varying success. Some days I stream on two viewers on TikTok, and others, when the DMC anime came out, I had like 300 viewers on TikTok for like 8 hours. So there could be some pretty big success there. Not a whole ton of financial success, but a lot of conversion, right? If people watch on TikTok, they become a regular. They end up watching me like 5-6 times on TikTok, and then they create a Twitch account or they find me on YouTube and they watch there. And then that converts to like Patreon members or them subscribing on Twitch and that kind of thing. And I've actually seen some pretty real turnover on that. And that's without me uploading very many videos on TikTok, just streaming. I do plan on uploading more TikToks, like some actual shorts, some YouTube content as well. But I've been having a hard time keeping up with all of the different content I'm doing at the same time. And that's easily the least important thing on the table. So it's going to be the last to be resolved, I think. Right now, my priority list goes main channel content, streaming, highlight, or archive channel content, then highlight channel contents. So I'm focusing on like making sure I'm really solid and steadfast in what kind of content I'm making on the main channel and my frequency of outputting that, and then coming up with a formula for the highlight channel that works and I can hand off to an editor. But yeah, TikTok was a huge part of my life in 2025. Not something I thought I was going to say in 2024, but I'm always looking to expand and explore in new ways that I can approach my content, new ways that I can make my content better, make it more enjoyable for more people, that kind of thing. And TikTok has been a big way for that, honestly. It's increasing a lot of exposure. God, my throat, I'm like so running out of capacity to talk. It's bad. I'm sure it's been bad for like an hour already, but drink some water. This might be a long episode. I am only into May. Let's continue though. Let's see. after Doom the Dark Ages is over, I went back to some more Devil May Cry. I did some more challenge runs. At one point I had a world record of Devil May Cry 1 and 3 at the same time. I was the first person to ever do that. Ooh, here we go. HSL. Okay, HSL. For those who aren't around, is the Halo Speedrun League. It was a event that they hadn't run in like 4 years, but they did decide to run in 2025. A very cool event, basically a team-based event where you and a team of people did something like a Grand Prix, where every week there was a new level, but there was a new level for every game in the series. And by every game in the series, I mean Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4. Holy slide. That was easily the best slide I've ever done. Good Lord. But yeah, so there was... You had teams of 4, but there were 5 games to run. Or 6 games to run. Yeah, teams of 4, but 6 games to run. And there were 2 stages in the event. The first stage, every week, there was 1 level per run, per game. And your team had to have the best 2 of their combined time, the best 2 times from each team for each level. So like if me and 3 other people are on a team, we need to get 2 times for each level for each game. Every week. So that meant that there were 6 levels to cover every week with only 4 people, and we needed to do 2 runs each, basically. And that was fantastic because it was a really good way to learn bits and pieces of all of the games in a competitive environment. And I learned a ton, dude. Like, I got so much better in this. It was I think it was 6 weeks that the first stage went on. I learned so much. I learned how to butterfly. I learned high charity skip. I did uprising butterfly, a completely crazy difficult trick for Halo 2. I got way better at CE. I got way better at ODS. I learned the coastal highway skip for ODST. Like, there was a ton of progression made there. And then the second wave of the event was a relay race tag team event where your team would veto 1 game. Damn. Your team would veto 1 game, and then you would do a relay race against another team. So like your team would run like CE, Halo 2, ODST, and Halo 4, for example. If like your team vetoed Halo 3 and their team vetoed Reach, right? Maybe that was what happened. And so your team would have to come up with a full game run and do head-to-heads there. Really cool event. Unfortunately, pretty poorly organized. It was way too long. I think it originally was 10 weeks long and ended up only being 9. But a lot of people signed up, but not everyone participated. So that was a problem. And then also it was way too long and a huge time investment. And by the time we got around to like the full game relay runs, people were pretty much over it. They didn't really care anymore. A lot of people decided that they didn't care and dropped out, or just didn't practice. In that event, I really wanted to prove myself. This is before I had proven myself. I felt like the Halo community didn't really take me that seriously, and I was super new. So I was picking all the hard levels. Any level that was really hard that people didn't want to do on my team, I'm like, I'll do it. Uprising Butterfly, I'll do it. You know, High Charity Skip, I'll do it. Coastal Highway Skip, I'll do it. You know, like, I had some really good Halo runners on my team, but I definitely was like carrying the team on my back. Like there was a big discrepancy in the amount of effort I was putting in versus my team. And that's no shame to them at all. I loved my team. They're great people, really fun to play with, and they all did great, really. But like, I'm a full-time streamer. I have a lot of free time, you know, like I'm a super sweaty try-hard nerd. Like I went all in on this shit, dude. I was streaming like every day, except for the Saturday and Sunday, of course. And I was spending the whole 8 hours, 10 hours, sometimes 12 hours just grinding these levels, learning these tricks and shit. And I was loving it, dude. I loved that. That was like my favorite shit. But unfortunately, when we got around to the races, like the head-to-head races, my team got matched up against another team that was really good, and we kind of just fumbled. Like we lost. We lost our very first head-to-head, which meant we did like 10 weeks of really grueling individual level back-to-backs just to be eliminated in the first round, which is super brutal and made me really sad. And I didn't really get much of an opportunity to prove myself in the head-to-head sections. So no one really thought that I was like super formidable, you know, because like, you know how it is. It's like, oh, we got these teams, like, oh, you got Zoo on your team. That's a crazy team, like they're gonna win, that kind of thing. Those vibes. Like, no one was saying that about me. No one was like, oh, they have Waifu on their team, you gotta watch out for them, you know. And you know what, I don't fuck with that. I took that personally. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make them feel that way. And then I didn't get the opportunity to, because our team got knocked out, and I didn't really get in my race. I definitely could have done better, but I won my head-to-head. And so I was like, you know what? People don't think I'm good enough. Fuck this. I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna do something that like is so impressive that everyone will just have to respect me. And so I decided that I was gonna go for sub 1 hour in Halo Reach Easy. And for context, sub 1 hour at the time, only 2 people had ever done it. And it had only been done 3 times. So if I was to get sub 1 hour, that would at least put me in 3rd place for easy, which is trophy. That's bronze medal, right? Which is a really impressive time. And that's the most optimized category in Halo Reach. And it would put me on like legend status for that game, right? For at least for that category. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck y'all. Y'all don't think I'm good enough? I'll show you I'm good enough. I'll get this crazy good time in Halo Reach. So that's what I set out to do. I just started grinding and I was like, I'm gonna get this sub 1. And right after HSL, that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing ever since. And after a couple months, you know me, of course I did it. But after having done it, we have a bit of we're only 38 seconds away from world record, and it's like if you're that close to world record, you may as well go for world record. And no one respects a run more than a world record run, right? So I decided, fuck it, I'm going for Halo Reach Easy world record. That's part of the reason why I'm practicing this right now, is because it'll help with record. But yeah, I did get that sub 1, and a lot of people respected me a lot more after that, which I'm very happy about. And going into 2026, we're gonna get that record near the start, and that'll be a badass way to kick off the year. I'm pretty stoked for it. It's gonna happen, like literally any day now. Oh, he didn't die. This is what we're practicing. So that kind of brings us to now, I think. Yeah, I mean, the rest is mostly just like keeping up with stuff. I did a lot of HSL things. I did my no-hit stuff. It was a really good year. Honestly, like for all intents and purposes, I paid off all of my medical debt. I had like $10,000 plus in medical debt. I got over some stuff. I got over some depression. I got back on the horse making videos again. I've been doing more challenges again. I'm being more competitive than ever. Yeah, it's been kick ass. It's been really, really awesome. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me through this year and supporting me as always, especially those supporting on the Patreon. I really appreciate that. And so 2026 is going to be a good year, I think. I'm really excited for it. For the number one thing, I'm going to organize my year around the events. I'm organizing my year around the events, and I'll see how I like that for the pacing. It's kind of nice to have it taken out of my hands instead of jumping around and doing like things like whatever I feel like it. Doing things on a schedule really helps me a ton. So we'll see how that works into the coming year, and hopefully you'll see the results of those fruit. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed this, remember, these are going to be mostly Patreon exclusive. Maybe I'll release them after a long period of time, but if you enjoyed the rant, make sure that you go subscribe on the Patreon, and you can get those. I don't know how frequent, but probably pretty frequent. Maybe like once every 2 weeks, once a week. We'll see what it really just depends on like how much I have to say. But yeah, peace. Thanks.